non-profit organization include advancement of science, technology and education by bringing together experts from these areas for the diffusion of usual scientific knowledge among the people. I am pleased to note that the ASTC also seeks to organize science communication activities through popular lectures, seminars, symposia, workshops, refreshing courses, panel discussions, etc., besides the publication of books, newsletters, and journals on science. శాస్త్ర విజ్ఞానం 4 గోడల మధ్య ఆగిపోకూడదు. It should reach the people. అంటే అది ప్రజల ముంగిటకు చేరాలి, ప్రజల్లో ఆదరణ పెరగాలి, అవగాహన పెరగాలి, విద్యార్థుల్లో సైన్స్ పట్ల ఉత్సుకతను పెంచాలి. Such forums serve to further the role of science communication in helping research percolate to the ground level. Outcome of research in labs must benefit society at large at an accelerated pace for us as a nation to build a strong Vikasit Bharat by 2047. This can only be done when you inculcate scientific temper on a widespread scale by creating sound knowledge base. Equally critical is the need to foster academia-industry linkages. This is very important, academia and industry linkages, and promote active engagement within the scientific community. There should be a powerful thread meaningfully connecting science, technology and society. As well as you are all aware that science communication serves as a vital conduit that transforms and transports the lab-based research from specialized silos to broader society. It amplifies the visibility and influence of research outcome. ఈనాడులో జ్ఞాన నేత్రం శీర్షిక కింద ఎంతో సరళంగా ఇన్ ఎ వెరీ సింపుల్ మేనర్ సైన్స్ సంబంధించిన అంశాలను ప్రచురిస్తున్నారు. క్లిష్టమైన పరిశోధనా అంశాలను సామాన్యులకు అర్థమయ్యేట్టు రాయడంలో ఈనాడు ముందంజలో ఉంది. చంద్రయాన్ ప్రయోగ సమయంలో ఈనాడు కల్పించిన అవగాహన నాకు ఇప్పటికే గుర్తుంది. ఆ రోజుల్లో తెలుగు రాష్ట్రాలు చంద్రయాన్ ఫీవర్లో ఊగిపోయాయంటే ఈ పరిణామాన్ని పాఠకులకు ఈనాడు చేరవేయడమే దానికి ప్రధాన కారణం అని చెప్పి నేను భావిస్తున్నాను. ఈ విధంగా సమాజంలో సైన్స్ పట్ల ఎంత ఆదరణ పెంచగలిగితే మన దేశం సైన్స్ రంగంలో అంత ముందంజ వేయగలుగుతుంది. By translating complex findings into accessible narratives, it empowers diverse audience to apply scientific knowledge effectively. This makes it an important tool in building Vikasit Bharat. Science communication breaks down barriers between researchers and the public policy makers and stakeholders. Without effective science communication, discoveries remain confined to academic journals. This in turn limits real-world impact like policy changes or public health initiatives. Similarly, building science literary helps counter the misinformation, because information with confirmation is more than an ammunition. You need to have the information with confirmation. That is very much required. So this building up this science literally helps counter the misinformation and encourages public input on research priorities and risks. By reaching larger audience, science communication influences decisions on global challenges like climate change, which is a very important aspect in public life across the globe. The harmful impacts of the pesticides on agriculture or on the nature of pandemics, for example. We are all aware that enough information is not given to the farmers or reaching the farmers because they are all using different pesticides which are affecting the human health also. మానవ జీవన నాణ్యతను పెంచడంలో సైన్స్ అండ్ టెక్నాలజీ పాత్ర చాలా కీలకమైంది. హరిత విప్లవ పితామహుడు శ్రీ ఎంఎస్ స్వామినాథన్ గారి కృషి వల్లనే భారత్ ఆహార రంగంలో స్వయం సమృద్ధిని సాధించింది. Because of the efforts made by the great scientist, the great son of this great country, Sri M.S. Swaminathan, that we are able to achieve. Once upon a time we used to import food, but now we are in a position to export food. That is the greatness of the scientific community, and particularly Sri M.S. Swaminathan ji. పాశ్చాత్య దేశాలు వారి సాంకేతిక పరిజ్ఞానాన్ని మనకు బదలాయించడానికి నిరాకరించినప్పుడు విక్రమ్ సారాభాయ్, శ్రీ అబ్దుల్ కలాం లాంటి మహానుభావులు స్వదేశీ పరిజ్ఞానంతోనే మన రాకెట్లు, మన ఉపగ్రహాలను, మన క్షిపణులను తక్కువ ఖర్చులోనే అభివృద్ధి చేశారు. ఇప్పుడు వాటిని ఎగుమతి చేసే స్థాయికి మనం చేరుకున్నాం. మన లక్ష్యం, మన గమ్యం ఒకటే, శాస్త్ర విజ్ఞానంలో అగ్రస్థానంలో ఉండాలి భారతదేశం. Once upon a time, India was known as Vishwaguru. Students from across the globe, they used to come to Nalanda, Takshashila, Vikramshila universities. This is not what I am saying. This has been written by Pahian, Huan Song, the Chinese, the tourists who have come to India and then wrote about the greatness of the India. But unfortunately, the destruction made by some of the invaders and also subsequently India becoming enslaved because of the Britishers' aggression. They came here, they looted us, they cheated our minds also. And then we were taught that they are the great people and we are ordinary people. And we were told to read Robert Clive the Great. Great for what? For whom? Alexander the Great. But nothing is mentioned about particularly about Veerapandi Kattabomman, or Allur Sitaram Raju, or Komaram Bhim, or Jhansi Lakshmi, or Rudram Devi, and also the great efforts made by our seniors, our forefathers, even in science, in astronomy, in various fields, our leaders, our forefathers, the great rishis, they have done great work. But unfortunately, it was not given enough coverage or publicity in the public domain because the Britishers are controlling the country. మన దేశం సైన్స్ అండ్ టెక్నాలజీ రంగంలో దూసుకుపోవడంలో ప్రభుత్వంతో పాటు ప్రైవేటు వ్యక్తుల యొక్క, ప్రైవేటు సంస్థల యొక్క పాత్ర కూడా చాలా కీలకంగా ఉంది. డాక్టర్ పావులూరి సుబ్బారావు గారి నేతృత్వంలో అనంత టెక్నాలజీస్ వంటి సంస్థలు ఇస్రో మిషన్లలో కీలక పాత్ర వహిస్తూ ప్రైవేట్ శాటిలైట్ తయారీలో అగ్రగామిగా నిలబడడం గర్వకారణం. ప్రైవేట్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్స్ ఆల్సో ఆర్ ప్లేయింగ్ ఏ గ్రేట్ రోల్ in our scientific advancements, and particularly these Ananta technologies of Dr. Paulur Subbarao Garu, who is here on the dais. They played an important role in the ISRO and various projects taken up by the ISRO, including the satellite preparation also. మన వద్ద మేధస్సు కొదవలేదు. మన దేశంలో ఆది కాలం నుంచి, వేదకాలం నుంచి, పుణ్యకాలం నుంచి, పురాణ కాలం నుంచి పూర్వీకులు అనుభవించి రంగరించి మేళవించినట్టే అద్భుతమైన విజ్ఞానం మన పెద్దలు మనకిచ్చారు. మై గ్రాండ్ ఫాదర్ స్టడీడ్ ఓన్లీ అప్ టు 10th class, but he gave me all the what you call it as ప్రాపంచిక పరిజ్ఞానం, the worldly knowledge, the public knowledge basically was given by my grandfather to me. Such is the knowledge of Indian society. మన వద్ద ఇందాక నేను చెప్పినట్టుగా మేధస్సు కొదవలేదు. శ్రీ రామానుజం, శ్రీ శకుంతలాదేవి వంటి గణిత మేధావులు, శ్రీ కళ్యంపూడి రామకృష్ణారావు, సిఆర్ రావు వంటి గణిత శాస్త్రవేత్తలు, సర్ సివి రామన్, శ్రీ చంద్రశేఖర్ వంటి నోబెల్ విజేతలు మన దేశ కీర్తిని విశ్వవ్యాప్తం చేశారు. వీ షుడ్ ఆల్వేస్ రికాల్ ద గ్రేట్ సర్వీసెస్ మేడ్ బై శ్రీ సిఆర్ రావు, సర్ సివి రామన్, శ్రీ చంద్రశేఖర్, who made us really feel proud by their efforts. ఈరోజు మనం ఏఐ గురించి విస్తృతంగా మాట్లాడుకుంటున్నాం. వీఆర్ డిస్కసింగ్ అబౌట్ ఏఐ పరిజ్ఞానం వెనుక కీలక పాత్ర పోషించేది డేటా సైన్స్. అయితే ఈ డేటా సైన్స్కు మూలమైన వివిధ గణాంక నమూనాలకు ఆధారం శ్రీ కల్వంపూడి రాధాకృష్ణారావు గారి పరిశోధనలేనని సంబంధించిన విషయాన్ని మీ అందరూ కూడా చెప్తున్నాను. ప్రచారం లభించకపోయినా తెర వెనుక ఉండి మానవాళి సంక్షేమం కోసం అద్భుతమైన ఆవిష్కరణలు చేసిన ఎంతో మంది భారతీయ శాస్త్రవేత్తల కృషిని మనం స్మరించుకోవాలి. ఉదాహరణకు డాక్టర్ యదాప్రగడ సుబ్బారావు గారు, అటువంటి మహనీయుల గురించి మనం ఎంత చెప్పుకున్నా తక్కువే. కణాలకు శక్తినిచ్చే ఏటీపీ కణువును కనుగొన్నది ఆయనే. క్యాన్సర్ చికిత్సలో వాడే మెథోట్రెక్సేట్, ప్రాణరక్షక యాంటీబయాటిక్, టెట్రాసైక్లిన్ వంటి ఎన్నో ఆవిష్కరణల వెనుక ఉన్న మేధావి మన తెలుగువాడే రంటెక్క సుబ్బారావు గారు. అలాంటి మహనీయులు చేసిన కృషిని మనం గుర్తు చేసుకుంటూ ఉండాలి. వారి దగ్గర నుంచి ఈ స్ఫూర్తిని పొందేదానికి మన యువతరాన్ని మనం ప్రోత్సహిస్తూ ఉండాలి. సైన్స్ కమ్యూనికేషన్ సెక్యూర్స్ పొలిటికల్ సపోర్ట్, promotes trust in science, and accelerates practical applications in business, in education, in researchers who have mastered these skills, amplify the efforts, ensuring lab innovations contribute to societal progress. అయితే మన మేధస్సుని మనం వ్యవస్థీకృతం చేయాలి. అది ఆశించిన స్థాయిలో లేకపోవడం వల్లనే మన పరిశోధన పత్రాల విషయంలో వెనకబడ్డాం. ఏటా 10 లక్షల పరిశోధన పత్రాలను ప్రచురిస్తూ చైనా is about 10 lakh research papers they are publishing. 28% to 30%. China is standing in the first place. America, 6 lakhs to 7 lakhs, 11 to 13% share, they are in the second place. Bharat, India, 2 lakh papers of 5 to 7%. We are in the third place. But we must move on. And we have the competence, we have the capacity, and the government is ready to extend support and is extending support also. అమెరికా, చైనా వంటి దేశాలతో పోలిస్తే మన పరిశోధనలు వాణిజ్యపరంగా, సామాజికంగా మరింత ప్రభావం చూపాలి. రీసెర్చ్ ఈజ్ ఫర్ ది వెల్ఫేర్ ఆఫ్ ద పీపుల్ అల్టిమేట్లీ. దట్ షుడ్ బి కెప్ట్ ఇన్ మైండ్. సైన్స్ అండ్ టెక్నాలజీ షుడ్ బి యూటిలైజ్డ్ ఫర్ ద అడ్వాన్స్మెంట్ ఆఫ్ నాలెడ్జ్ and also enhancing the people's capacities and caliber so that they can make further progress in order to help larger sections of the society. దేశవ్యాప్తంగా సెంటర్స్ ఆఫ్ ఎక్సలెన్స్ ఏర్పాటు చేయడం చాలా అత్యవసరం. There is every need to have centers of excellence in every state. There must be institutions in that regard. My dear friends, science, I personally feel that science also has to be taught in mother tongue. The day is not far away that science, medicine, engineering, AICT, UGC, they are already taking steps to see that these courses are also taught in mother tongue. Mother tongue do not mean Telugu alone. In the respective mother tongue of our youngsters, that is the need of the hour, because it will easily go to the mind. If you try to teach them in a foreign language, first, you should understand the language. Next, you should understand that subject also. If you teach them in their mother tongue, the subject directly goes to the mind. That's why I always say, mother tongue is like your eyesight. And English is like spectacles. If you have eyesight, spectacles will work. Otherwise, even if you wear Ray-Ban glasses also, Zuban se kuch aayega nahi. This has to be understood by one and all. So, moving towards education in mother tongue is very important. I am happy that the Prime Minister of the country, Narendra Bhai Modi, is also of the same opinion. He has already directed AICTC and also this UGC to move in the direction and translation work in Indian languages is moving faster. It is happening. The day is not far off. Even the private organizations also, I appeal to the private organizations to provide funds for science labs in schools. I remember in Vijayawada, in Hyderabad, Vijayawada, Nellore, we have a trust. My daughter is running the trust, Swarna Bharat Trust. They give only skill development, skill education to the children. To the unemployed rural youth. My son has taken an initiative and he has set up one foundation in Vijayawada by name of Power Foundation. Their main activity is they send buses to the rural villages, Jilla Parishad schools. Pick up the children from the Jilla Parishad school, bring them to the headquarters where the lab facility is there and they are exposed to various labs, and they are also given proper understanding. Then again they are dropped in respective villages, because many of the villages, Jilla Parishad schools, do not have science laboratories. That is the situation, because we are a vast country, we are moving faster, we are growing also, but we have great challenges, 143 crore population, that too 60%. There is no dearth of knowledge among Indian children. This land, this water, this air, it has something special. You look at the international scenario where more multinational companies, they are having Indians as CEOs. Sundar Pichai, Nadella Satya, what is the... They proved that they are second to none, and that's why they are chosen to head the institutions. We should encourage more and more research, more and more scientific temper among the children, so that they take interest in the future and then become something in their life. Science communication can become more effective by leveraging platforms like social media. Social media has to be properly utilized. Now the social media is, unfortunately, has become an anti-social media. They put up headline. You go through inside the line, there is nothing in the inside. This is what is happening. And some people, they want to make headlines so that it becomes deadline to us. We should not be carried by the misinformation. The social media has to be utilized, channelized in a proper manner, so that the information goes to the people. The rapid dissemination and feedback can be utilized by utilizing the social media. We must note that the ultimate goal of science and communication is to transform isolated research into a shared resource, empowering society to harness its full potential. నిజానికి ప్రపంచం అంతా 16వ శతాబ్దంలో సైన్స్ గురించి మాట్లాడడం మొదలు పెడితే మన భారతీయులు కొన్ని వేళ్ల క్రితమే అంతరిక్షం నుండి అణువు వరకు అన్నింటినీ క్షుణ్ణంగా అధ్యయనం చేశారు. పరమాణు సిద్ధాంతాన్ని గురించి పరిచయం చేశారు. దాని మీద ఇప్పుడు చర్చ జరుగుతుంది. గణాథ మహర్షి సున్నాను కనిపెట్టి గణితానికి ఆధారంగా ఇచ్చిన ఆర్యభట్టు భూమి చుట్టూ తాను తిరుగుతున్నదని ఆ రోజే చెప్పాడు. ఇవన్నీ now some people are questioning all this information also. I appeal to them also, you make study and then try to get, as I said, information with confirmation. ఈ ప్లాస్టిక్ సర్జరీ సుశ్రుతుడు శస్త్రశాస్త్రంలో ప్రావీణ్యుడని మన శాస్త్రాలు చెబుతూ ఉన్నాయి. ఖగోళ శాస్త్రంలో త్రికోణమితిలో వరాహమిహిరుడు అద్భుతమైన సూత్రాలను అందించాడు. ఆ ఢిల్లీలో ఇనప స్తంభం, ఐరన్ పిల్లర్ సుమారు 1600 ఏళ్ల నాటిది. ఈ మనకి లభించినటువంటి యొక్క మన పూర్వీకుల నుంచి వచ్చినటువంటి యొక్క అనుభవాన్ని మనం ఉపయోగించుకొని మనము మన మేధస్సును కాపాడుకునే పేటెంట్ అవగాహన కూడా మన దేశంలో కొద్ది తక్కువ. 2023లో భారత్ దాదాపు 64,480 పేటెంట్ దరఖాస్తులతో ప్రపంచంలో 6వ స్థానానికి చేరింది. వీ హావ్ రీచ్డ్ ద 6th ప్లేస్ ఇన్ గెటింగ్ దిస్ పేటెంట్. దిస్ ఎ గుడ్ డెవలప్మెంట్. బట్ చైనా ఏడాదికి 18 లక్షలు దరఖాస్తు చేస్తుంది. మనం 64,000 దరఖాస్తులు చేస్తున్నాం. అందుకని మనం ఆ విషయంలో కూడా ముందుకు వెళ్లాల్సి ఉంది. pasupu, vapa, basmati rice. These are all our traditional products. But the foreigners have patented these products. We should take lead, and also the Prapanchavartanga worldwide, Ongol bull. Brazil is encouraging it, Ongol bull. And we are not showing that much interest in order to develop our own breeds. So we need to focus on such initiatives. విజ్ఞానమే వెలుగు, ఆ వెలుగు ప్రతి గడపకు చేరాలి. విజ్ఞానం విదేశాల నుండి దిగువ చేసుకోవడం కాదు, మన గడ్డపైనే ఆవిష్కృతం కావాల్సిన అవసరం ఎంతో ఉంది. ప్రయోగశాలలో విజ్ఞానం ప్రజాక్షేత్రంలో వికాసం కావాలి. ప్రయోగశాలలో విజ్ఞానం ప్రజాక్షేత్రంలో వికాసం కావాలి. అప్పుడే మన వికసిత భారత వైపు అడుగులు వేయగలం. ఈ దిశగా ఏఎస్టిసి వంటి సంస్థలు, ఈనాడు లాంటి సంస్థలు, విశ్వవిద్య యూనివర్సిటీస్, schools and colleges and other institutions, they should work more and more in this direction of the dissemination of the information. My dear friends, the education should become a mission, not expecting any commission or doing any omission or giving any remission. You must have passion for the nation. Nation means people. If you have that passion and then work hard, every institution, definitely will be able to move forward and then attain once again the top place in the international community. So I appeal to all the organizations to encourage excellence, to encourage research as part of their activity, so that the society can move forward and the benefits of science, technology, they can reach people. And now we are talking about AI. I appeal to the scientific community and also technological experts to see that proper ways and means are found to arrest the misuse of AI. Otherwise, AI is going to create havoc. I'm really afraid. I don't have science base. I'm a arts. There is a lighthouse function in the evening in Visakhapatnam. So I feel sorry that I have to leave the conference in between, but I would like all of you to pay full attention to what is being said from the dais, and then there should be discussion also, so that meaningful conclusions can be achieved and that will be ultimately utilized to the society. Andariki ధన్యవాదాలు, నమస్కారాలు, జై హింద్.
Thank you, sir. Now, on behalf of ASTC and Yenadu Group, I request Dr. C.H. Mohan Rao Garu, Sri Paulu.
చేశారు దానికి ఓకే స్టిక్ చేశారు ఓకే ఓకే లీవ్ ఇట్ సార్. Thank you so much, sir.
Every time I'm leaving before you speak.
ఇప్పుడు వెంకయ్యనాయుడు గారు మాట్లాడిన తర్వాత ఎవరు మాట్లాడినా చాలా చప్పగా ఉంటుంది. కాబట్టి నేను ఎక్కువగా పొడిగించదలుచుకోలేదు. ఆమె కూడా తొందరగా వెళ్ళాలి కాబట్టి. There are three important aspects. One is the lab to society and the communication, the way that is being done. In fact, we have to learn our lessons from existing systems itself on that. For example, in the agriculture research laboratories, they have an extensive extension programs in which whatever the produced in the lab is being used for the farmers on that. So therefore, they educate the farmers and they started using that part of it. And similarly, in terms of communications, we have to learn from ISRO. Every launch program that goes up, it is always you see them on the TVs. And particularly when we landed on the south side of the moon, that's where, every Indian very proudly look at it. That's where Atmaviswasam comes from, that part. And not only towards because it's Bharat. In fact, earlier Bharat also had it. I'll give you an example how to institutionalize the entire research programs. For example, Usirikaya, which normally we use every day at home, that Usirikaya was found that there are a lot of good C vitamin in that part, but you institutionalize it in the sense that, దాని ఆ చెట్టును కూడా మనం పూజనీయం చేసాం. అంటే దీని అర్థం ఏంటంటే మనం ల్యాబ్లో ఉన్నది ల్యాబ్లోకే పరిమితం కాకుండా దాని బయటకు కూడా ఎట్లా తీసుకువెళ్ళాలి, హౌ టు ఇన్స్టిట్యూషనలైజ్ హోల్ థింగ్ త్రూ ఏ కమ్యూనికేషన్, ప్రాపర్ కమ్యూనికేషన్, దట్ పార్ట్ ఇస్ మోస్ట్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ part. So that was already established in the earlier generations and also in the present generations also on that. But still there's a lacuna between the universities and the society, and between some laboratories and the society. That has to, the gap has to be filled. And for that, NEP 2020, he lays down the foundation, complete foundation and the framework as how to do that part of it. I'm sure all of you must have gone through the NEP 2020, so that how to integrate the entire society from the laboratory to the benefit of the society during Bharat. I've been very well described in that part. I'm sure you must have gone through that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I now invite Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, Madam, to
exposed to, as well as the media. And so it's very good that science communication has been taken up as a topic today, because science communication is something that actually is very, very critical in today's world. When data and knowledge is exploding very, very rapidly, it is sometimes very hard to keep up with everything that's available, particularly since we live in a world where we rely a lot on the internet, on being connected with other people through channels like WhatsApp, but also social media to get a lot of our information. And so it becomes extremely important to pay attention to what is out there. So rather than the traditional channels of communication, people now rely a lot on digital means. And so what is available out there is a mix of good and bad. Not everything that we read online is actually correct. So I think this topic or question that we are here today to address, that how do we take science from the lab to society and do it in ways that actually improve people's lives. So science is not something which needs to be done in abstract or needs to be done in scientist labs or in classrooms. Many people think of science in that way, that you have to put on a white coat and be inside a lab to do science. But ultimately that science has to translate into improving the lives of people, whether it is through health, whether it is through space technology, whether it is through a new drug or a vaccine, or even things like the internet, or like when electricity was invented. Everything we take for granted today came from scientific discoveries that were made and then built upon. The other point about science is that it's constantly evolving and changing, right? And so it is a fact that science is not static, and that our knowledge and facts need to keep up and need to change with a deeper understanding. And today that is also happening at a very fast rate. This also needs to be communicated to people, because if you say something today and you want to say something a little bit different tomorrow based on the new knowledge, people should not get the impression that either you were not knowing what you were talking about or you were not speaking the truth. So we actually live in a world today where science has never been stronger, and yet public trust in science is becoming fragile. During COVID-19 pandemic, we saw how rapidly develop a distrust in science, a distrust in vaccines. It has led to an increase in measles. They've had more measles in the United States this year, 2025, than they had over the last 30 or 40 years. And that's because more people are now staying away from vaccines. One thing we need to understand, that facts alone are not enough. So one of the important lessons from the pandemic was that information is not the same as communication. We at that time assumed, many of us, that just provide people with facts and graphs and numbers and figures, and that would automatically translate into rational decisions. But human beings, they don't live inside spreadsheets. They actually operate and make decisions based on trust. Who do you trust? Who does the information come from? Your own identity, your lived experiences, fears and hopes. And who are the voices you find credible in your own community? It became very clear even during COVID. Certain voices were more credible than others. So the point is that sometimes there was a lot of fear about vaccines causing infertility. There were, of course, a lot of conspiracy theories also, that vaccines have all kinds of things like chips that are being injected into people. Those were very far out conspiracy theories. But the fact, does a particular vaccine have a particular side effect? That is a genuine question that needs to be answered with data. And when data is being collected, one also needs to say that as of today, we have data, let us say, based on 3 months of experience of using this. Who's going to be the communicators of messages? Let's say for important public health messaging, I think of course the public health experts, the doctors, the scientists, the government officials should speak. But in addition to that, we need to involve our teachers, our frontline workers, our community leaders, faith leaders. Youth groups, because when someone of those people speak, you know them, you individually you have trust in them, and that really helps you to understand the message. With severe mental illnesses, because we don't understand it. And even today, even though there is a much better understanding, even today you'll find a lot of people with mental illness feel they don't feel that they can speak about it, or their families cannot talk about it. So he used to say that you need to, through his films, he was trying to convey that empathy. So I just want to give you one or two other examples. Venkaiah Naidu ji spoke about food security and my father's role in that. Now today, it's true that we have enough food, and in fact we even export food, but we cannot say that everyone in India has adequate nutrition. So what is called hidden hunger, which is a deficiency of micronutrients of iron, zinc, selenium, vitamins, and also quality protein. This actually affects our cognitive development. If you see, our brain develops in the first 5 years of life. After that, the brain is hardly growing. So whatever cognitive development and intellectual development potential has to develop, it is only in the first 5 years. So if you look at 2047, Bharat at 2047, the children who are born today are going to be 21 years old at that time, right? So if we want to really have a demographic dividend from our young people, we have to focus on human capital development, which is essentially health, nutrition, and education. And in the first 5 years of life, is important. When we see the levels of stunting and underweight today in our country, and at the food, they misleadingly advertise it as a healthy food. So for a poor person who's running short of time, who's busy working, the woman doesn't have time really to go out and cook. She sees an advertisement which says, buy this product, it will make your children very strong, it will build their muscles. She's going to spend all her money on buying that product rather than on buying some fruits and vegetables and dal, which she could cook, and feed her family. So here, regulation needs to play a role as well as awareness. And today, I think our levels of nutrition awareness are extremely low. Even very well-educated people are not aware of what, and Dr. Shashikiran is here. I hope he'll be talking about that later. And also there is a nice booklet that has been written So crop diversification is important for our nutrition. But for farmers, their income and livelihoods have to be protected. But also we can talk to them about climate resilience, and in the future, when we have climate change impacting you can actually lose a cash crop and the farmer can lose everything in that one disaster, climate disaster. The entire crop can go. This has happened last year. We have seen it happening across India and many states. But if they're diversified and they also have some climate resilient crops like millets, it's considered an environmental issue, something that looks bad, but actually it is a health issue. And it is actually cutting years from our lives, significant, and causing all kinds of diseases. But for policymakers, we also need to make the economic case, because policy is based not just on scientific facts and evidence, though as scientists we all want to believe that if we provide the facts, the policymaker should act. But that is not how policy is made. It depends on political priorities. It depends on the budget and finances that are available. It depends on administrative feasibility. So scientists also need to communicate in ways that policymakers can understand. It is even if we write a paper which is published in a peer-reviewed journal, if it has an implication for policy, we should be able to very simply make a 1 or 2 page policy note, which actually lays out the problem, what the research had done, what it showed, and how that could actually become a policy and impact much larger numbers of people. So I think that is the true test of strong research, but also the research and academic people who are involved, the experts, and how well that community is able to link to the policymakers and vice versa. So we need that conversation where policymakers also can explain to scientists what their problems are, what are the gaps, which are the areas where they need more data. Data is very, very important for policy making. In fact, former Vice President Venkaiah ji has left, but I remember we live in a polarized world. There's increasing geopolitical mistrust. Every day we see all sorts of issues happening. Collaborations are being restricted, narratives are polarized, and sometimes scientific evidence is distorted. I gave you some examples earlier on the vaccines. But science diplomacy rests on simple truths. The first truth is that pathogens do not need passports, as we saw very well during the pandemic. Similarly, climate change does not respect any national boundaries or state boundaries. And third is that human curiosity and compassion, they actually cross political lines. So when it comes to science, when it comes to health, I think diplomacy can actually bridge those barriers and those gaps which otherwise may be created due to whatever geopolitical reason. So our responsibility again as science communicators becomes to stick to the integrity of evidence. So the ethical line is very clear. We must not distort or suppress science for partisan purposes, because the credibility of science is our greatest public good. So I talked already about science and policy making and bridging that. So I would just like to end by saying that ultimately the goal of scientists is, of course, to produce excellent science, but only when it has some kind of big public impact or a public good, then actually you feel satisfied. Now, every piece of work may not have that, but there are pressing public health challenges, there are pressing issues in society which scientists can solve. I think climate change is also one of them, where we need a lot of innovation, we need a lot of interdisciplinary work to address the challenge which is coming. So the journey from lab to science, it's not a straight road. It is actually a dialogue, it's a partnership between scientists and citizens, and in between, I think, come the science communicators. Experts also need to be humble, so humility is very important. We need to listen, we need to constantly be learning and updating ourselves, and the public needs to have curiosity. Similarly, journalists also need to have curiosity. They need to ask the right questions. People need to ask the right questions. They may not get an answer for everything, but unless you ask the questions, this is never going to be addressed. And so if we listen deeply and we communicate honestly, I think honesty and transparency also very important, and anchor science in compassion and local reality. So there may be a discovery which happens somewhere else, but how is it relevant for us in our local context? Then I think by 2047, India will not only be scientifically advanced, but it will also be scientifically trusted. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am. On behalf of organizers, I request guest of honor Dr. Soumya Swaminathan Madam to present fellowship certificates. Dr. R. Vijay Garu. Dr. B. Venkataraman Garu. I request Dr. Yuvaraju Chinnam Garu, please come on to the dais. Dr. Subbarao Garu M. Gavaravapu, please come on to the dais. Dr. Subbarao Garu. Dr. Ratna Sudha Garu, please come on to the dais. Professor B.N. Reddy Garu, please come on to the dais. Professor B.N. Reddy Garu. Srimati Aparna Rao Garu, please come on to the dais. Srimati Aparna Rao Garu. Dr. Nayani Kishore Nath Garu, please come on to the dais. Dr. Nayani Kishore Nath Garu. Dr. A. Vijay Lakshmi Garu, please come on to the dais. Dr. Karuna Rupala Garu, please come on to the dais. Dr. A. Vijay Lakshmi Garu. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. It is now my pleasure to welcome our distinguished guest, Sri M. Nageshwar Rao Garu, editor of Eenadu. So, it is now my pleasure to welcome our distinguished guest, Sri M. Nageshwar Rao Garu, editor of Eenadu, and invite him to share his address with us. We are eager to hear his thoughts and benefit from his vast experience in journalism. His perspective will surely offer valuable insights into effective communication. Sri Manukunda Nageshwar Rao Garu, counted among the most prominent frontline Telugu journalists of the day, is presently the editor of Eenadu, the largest circulated Telugu daily. Most popular as journalism guru in both the Telugu states, he enjoys the distinction of training up thousands of journalists. Some of his students rose to very prominent positions in print, television, and digital media. So please.
అందరికీ నమస్కారం. చివరిలో మాట్లాడే వాళ్ళని చీఫ్ గెస్ట్ అంటారు, కానీ ఇక్కడంతా రివర్స్ అయింది. సో గెస్ట్ ఆన్ ద డయాస్ డాక్టర్ పావులూరు సుబ్బారావు గారు, డాక్టర్ శ్రీనివాస్ రెడ్డి గారు, డాక్టర్ మోహన్ రావు గారు, డాక్టర్ ఆర్బిఎన్ ప్రసాద్ గారు, శ్రీ సిఎల్ నరసింహారావు గారు, ఎస్టీమ్డ్ సైంటిస్ట్, teachers, academicians, science communicators, colleagues from the media, research scholars and students. Good morning to all of you. I consider it a privilege to participate in this national conclave on Lab to Society, Role of Science Communication, organized by Academy for Science, Technology and Communication, at a time when science is no longer confined to laboratories, but is closely connected to time, public health, national security, climate, food, and future of our children. ఇది సైన్స్ పండగ. ఈ పండగలో ఈనాడు భాగస్వామ్యం వహించడం చాలా సంతోషంగా ఉంది. మేము ఈనాడు 1970 లాంటి 51 ఇయర్స్ క్రితం సైన్స్ ఈనాడు ప్రారంభించినప్పుడు సైన్స్ అనేది ఒక ఇంటిగ్రల్ పార్ట్, సైన్స్ జర్నలిజం అనేది. అప్పటి నుంచి కూడా సైన్స్ మ్యాగజైన్లో, అంటే సండే మ్యాగజైన్లో సైన్స్ అనేది ఒక అంతర్భాగమై అప్పటి నుంచి ఇప్పటి వరకు కూడా మాకు సైన్స్ అండ్ టెక్నాలజీ పేజ్ కూడా ఉంది. ఇట్ అపియర్స్ ఆన్ ఎవ్రీ వెన్స్డే. సో సైన్స్ లేకుండా ప్రగతి లేదు. సైంటిఫిక్ టెంపర్ అనేవి మన కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్లో భాగం. ఆ సైంటిఫిక్ టెంపర్ని క్రియేట్ చేయటం అనేది జర్నలిజం ప్రధానమైనటువంటి లక్ష్యం అని భావించి అప్పటి నుంచి ఇప్పటి వరకు కూడా అది భాగం చేసుకొని కొనసాగిస్తున్నాము. ఈ సైంటిఫిక్ టెంపర్మెంట్ లేనటువంటి సొసైటీ ఎప్పుడు కూడా ప్రోగ్రెస్ అవ్వదు అనేది ప్రగాఢంగా నమ్మి దానికి ఆ కవరేజ్ కూడా అట్లానే చేస్తున్నాము. సైన్స్ జర్నలిజం అనేది అది అకేషనల్గా కాకుండా కన్సిస్టెంట్గా, క్లియర్గా ఎప్పటికప్పుడు ఏ సందర్భం వచ్చినప్పుడు కూడా రైజ్ టు ద అకేషన్ అంటారు జర్నలిజంలో. సో ఆ సందర్భాల్లో దాని కవరేజ్ని ఇంపాక్ట్ఫుల్గా ఇవ్వటం అనేది ఒక భాగంగా పెట్టుకొని ఈనాడు జర్నలిజం స్కూల్లో ఆ టీచింగ్ ఉంటుంది. ఆ తర్వాత దాని ప్రాక్టీస్ కూడా. వీ హ్యావ్ ఆల్ 5 మీడియా: ప్రింట్, డిజిటల్, టెలివిజన్, ఎలక్ట్రానిక్ అండ్ రేడియో. We have been practicing that science journalism everywhere, wherever we are. సో ఇట్లా ఈ ఫంక్షన్ చేయటం అనేది చాలా చాలా సంతోషంగా ఉంది. ముఖ్యంగా ఎందుకంటే మన తెలుగులో ఒక సామెత ఉంది, బంగారపల్లి అని కూడా చేర్పు కావాలి అనేది. మనకి ఎంత నాలెడ్జ్ ఉన్నా అది జనంలోకి కనుక వెళ్ళకపోతే, జనానికి కనుక రీచ్ అవ్వకపోతే అది దాని ఫలితాలు అంత ఎక్కువ ఉండవు. ఇందాక వెంకయ్యనాయుడు గారు చెప్పారు మాతృభాషలోనే సైన్స్ ప్రమోషన్ బాగా చేయాలనేది. ఇవాళ పేపర్లో వార్త వచ్చింది, ఐఐటీల్లో వాళ్ళు ఫస్ట్ ఇయర్ మాతృభాషలోనే వాళ్ళు టీచ్ చేయొచ్చు, చదువుకోవచ్చు, పరీక్షలు రాయొచ్చు అనేది. దేర్ ఇస్ ఏ చేంజ్ ఇన్ ద ఐఐటి పాలసీ. సో అట్లా మాతృభాషలో కనుక వాళ్ళకి సరైనటువంటి కమ్యూనికేషన్ వెళ్తే, వాళ్ళ వెర్నాక్యులర్ లాంగ్వేజెస్ న్యూస్ పేపర్స్ కనుక దీన్ని ప్రమోట్ చేస్తే దీని రిజల్ట్స్ చాలా ఎక్స్ట్రాడినరీగా ఉంటాయి. సో దాన్ని భావించి మేము చేస్తున్నాము. ఇక్కడ చాలా మంది సైన్స్ టీచర్స్ ఉన్నారు కాబట్టి మీరు ఒక సంక్లిష్టమైనటువంటి సైన్స్ అంశాలని ఒక పాఠక జనరంజకంగా విద్యార్థులకు ఇష్టంగా కనుక చేస్తే ది డెవలప్ లవ్ ఫర్ ద సైన్స్. దట్ హెల్ప్స్ దెమ్. వాళ్ళ ఒరిజినల్ ఫ్యాకల్టీ అదంతా కూడా డెవలప్ అవుతుంది. చాలా చాలా ముఖ్యం. అది టీచర్స్ మీద ఉంది. ఎందుకంటే హై టెన్షన్ నుంచి మన పవర్ని ఇంట్లోకి నేరుగా తీసుకోలేము. వి రిక్వైర్ లోవర్ డోసేజ్. సో దాన్ని అట్లనే టీచర్స్ ఒక ల్యాబ్లో ఉన్నటువంటి రీసెర్చ్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూట్స్లో ఉన్నటువంటి ఆ టెక్నాలజీ, ఆ సైన్స్, ఆ ఫలాలన్నీ కూడా విద్యార్థులకి, మామూలు ప్రజలకి, వీళ్ళందరూ కూడా చెప్పగలిగినటువంటి జర్నలిస్టులు, టీచర్స్ కనుక ఉంటే రిజల్ట్స్ విల్ బి ఎక్స్ట్రాడినరీ. Science does not complete its journey as discovery. It completes its purpose only when it reaches society. That we believe in. So today India is undoubtedly a science powerhouse. మనం చూస్తున్నాం, మన వార్తలు అవన్నీ కూడా చూస్తుంటే చాలా మిరాక్యులస్ డెవలప్మెంట్స్ అన్ని ఉన్నాయి. We have reached the moon and Mars through successful space missions. We led the world in vaccines. Hyderabad is a pharma capital, bulk drug capital. We lead the world in vaccines, pharmaceuticals, digital public infrastructure, space and defense technologies. Indian scientists are respected globally, yet we must ask ourselves honestly, how much of this achievement is understood by the common citizen? Is science a shared national dream or a distant jargon? Certainly it should be a national jargon, but it is not there right now. So the gap between the achievement, the awareness in the real world of science and communication is that is the biggest challenge we face. Science communication is not mere simplification. It is a translation without dilution. ఇందాక వెంకయ్యనాయుడు గారు ఉపన్యాసం లాగా సైన్స్ని సరళంగా, ఒక హాయిగా అందరి మనసులోకి వెళ్ళేట్టుగా చెప్పడం అనేది ఆయన ఉపన్యాసం లాగా ఉండాలి. ఒక సరైనటువంటి ఒక ఎనెక్డోట్స్ తోటి, సరైనటువంటి ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్ తోటి, సరైనటువంటి ప్రాక్టీసెస్ తోటి. సో కనుక చెప్పగలిగినప్పుడు ఆ స్టిమ్యులేషను, ఆ ఇంపాక్ట్ చాలా ఎక్కువ ఉంటుంది. In today's world, misinformation spreads faster than viruses. Pseudoscience often shouts louder than the evidence. Fear travels quicker than facts. In such a climate, science communication and responsible media are not optional, they are the essential to democracy. A scientifically informed citizen makes better health choices, trusts evidence over superstition, supports rational public policy, resists fake news. Journalism lo సామెత ఉంది. If you don't share the right information, the false information spreads fast. So ఎప్పుడైనా కోవిడ్ మన ఏదైనా ఒక కరోనానో లేకపోతే ఒక పోలీసు అట్రాసిటీస్ జరిగినప్పుడు రైట్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ కనుక చేయకపోతే ఫాల్స్ క్లెయిమ్స్ చాలా ఎక్కువ స్ప్రెడ్ అవుతుంటాయి. సో ఇట్ ఈస్ అవర్ రెస్పాన్సిబిలిటీ టు స్ప్రెడ్ ద రైట్ న్యూస్ ఎట్ రైట్ ప్లేస్ ఎట్ రైట్ వే. Hence, science literacy is not an academic luxury, it is a national strength. దానికోసం మనం అందరం కూడా చేయాలి. As a journalist, I say with conviction, the media is a bridge between the laboratory and the living room. At Enadu, we learned early that science reporting cannot be occasional. It must be continuous, contextual, and credible. Good science journalism must question, but not sensationalize, simplify, but not trivialize, inspire curiosity, not the fear. The media's duty is not just to report what happened, but to explain why it matters and how it touches life. If science remains only in journalists, superstitions will rule through WhatsApp University, quote unquote, WhatsApp University. We get so much of false information, superstitions through WhatsApp. So unless we make our presence in science, science journalists or newspapers well, so the false claims will spread like anything. Today's felicitation to scientists and science communicators is deeply meaningful. Because scientists create knowledge, communicators create public trust in knowledge. Both are equal partners in nation building. I congratulate all the awardees whose work truly reflect the spirit of lab to society. But please permit me to share one clear observation. India, despite its vast talent, has received only one Nobel Prize in core sciences so far. I mean, as an Indian citizen, at the time of receiving the Nobel Award, only C.V. Raman in 1930 received the Nobel Prize as a citizen of India. No one else. At the same time, smaller countries like Germany, Japan, and many other countries have won Nobel Prizes in sciences in double digits. So this is to be changed unless students are properly groomed, properly educated through our science communication, so we cannot achieve this goal. This is not a comment on talent. It is a reminder that breakthrough science needs sustained investments in core research, academic freedom, and patience. And equally important, a society that understands science is more willing to support science. Great science needs great laboratories, but it survives only in a scientific society. I would like to place 3 brief suggestions before this August gathering, because there are so many learned people, scientists, there are communicators, there are great people who are working in the laboratory. So I have a few suggestions. Scientists should speak beyond conferences. They should not confine to only laboratories and also to the conferences. They should work beyond conferences. They need to engage with the schools, communities, and the media. They must be accessible to all the media. All the top scientists who are working in the laboratories must be accessible and to explain in a easy way to the journalists. And media and communicators should invest in a dedicated science desk. We have a dedicated correspondent, one Mr. Suresh is moving around here. He is full-time science journalist, and we have a couple of other people are also in the pipeline. And we are going to plan one science desk. We have business, sports, and women, and every area, but we need a dedicated science desk in each and every newspaper. And strengthen evidence-based reporting. That is also science. That is very important. Institutions and policymakers should treat science communication as a discipline. Not only science, even science communication is also a discipline. Found outreach as seriously as reach, but that all the academic institutions and the research labs, they also should have should find a way to communicate, to outreach people in a meaningful way. Let me conclude with a simple thought. A discovery that is not communicated remains incomplete. A society that understands science becomes resilient. So science is necessary for that kind of good democracy. This conclave is not just an event, I believe. It is a reminder that India's journey from lab to society must be continuous, compassionate, and clear. That is most important. I thank the Academy for this timely initiative, and we wish this conclave every success. Thank you very much. Jai Hind. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your thoughtful message about the significance of science communication, especially in making science more accessible to the public. I am pleased to invite today's distinguished guest, Dr. D. Srinivas Reddy Garu, Director of CSIR, Indian Institute of Chemical Technology, to deliver his message.
Good morning. I know you are a bit tired. So we're almost done. Me and final one is Dr. Mohan Rao. Let's say good morning. Thank you. So dignitaries on the dais, and of course of the dais, very seniors are here, and all the participants, and particularly welcome you all for this this conclave, and it's very relevant and very important, and also it is a necessity for us. This kind of conclave should be there. And congratulations to ASTC and also NASI Telangana chapter for organizing this event. And congratulations and thank you all of you for making this event here in this Hyderabad. So happy to see that respected teachers are here, science teachers in particular, and also journalist friends are here. And I think you are the most important. I think you can make a difference, and you can bring science to the society, and whatever we talked about title, that lab to society. I think you are responsible for, and you are going to make a big role in the future. I think I request all of you take it seriously. I think more than people who are on the stage talking about it, I think you are the people who can really make this impact in the society. We're taking all the lab to society. And I can give you one example. Shri Pallav Baglaji is here. He's a science journalist and communicator who really makes really good stories, because I personally connected with him when I was working in Jammu Kashmir. So there, you can also Google it and see there is something called Purple Revolution. So that's related to lavender oil cultivation. I think who made, Pallav Baglaji really made that very popular. And also making popular, let people know about this kind of what is happening there. So these are things I think really play a role, and of course he has been contributing to several stories, and even now I think presently engaged with space programs and other related programs. Probably he is going to talk more about that one. And Venkaya Naidu ji also told about local language. I think that is also important. I think we all should play a role and in educating people in local languages, whichever area you belong to. I think I can tell you that at this moment, again, our Nageshwar Rao also mentioned about this one. I think they played a major role. And again, even I used to read, sir, about your that Sunday magazine, that one. So I used to look for that Sunday's magazine. And I can tell you that I can tell you proudly that I am from Telugu medium. I studied, not because of somebody told, because there is no option that I studied in Telugu medium. I studied up to
BSc, Telugu medium. So I wanted to do MSc also in Telugu medium. It was no option. So that's where I think I had to switch it to English medium in MSc. So I think I agree that I think we should also, wherever possible, translate it to local languages and educate people so that people will understand better. So basics will be, I think, we can understand much better in if you have your own mother tongue or local languages. I think these are some of the things we can educate people and take to the rural areas. Since I am coming from IICT, little bit about IICT, so Indian Institute of Chemical Technology. This is one of the CSIR labs. We have 3 CSIR labs. One is IICT, where I'm coming from, and we have CCMB, and we have NGRI. So each one play a different role. Particularly IICT plays a major role in chemicals and chemical technologies, and CCMB plays biological sciences, and similarly NGRI plays a role in geophysical research related to earthquakes and all earth-related areas they work. So these are the things, again, who has to make it popular? I think although scientists, we can do that one, but ultimately people who listen to you, I think who listen about these things, particularly teachers and journalists, I request all of you to visit these labs and take stories to the public and also students to motivate into science. And I know, I mean, like particularly in, I can tell Telangana, Hyderabad, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. So we are more towards professional courses like engineering or medical. But I think if you can influence people bringing into more into science, I think that is, I think we need to play a role, particularly science teachers and also journalists also can play a role. Just to tell you a couple of things about IICT. So IICT, earlier it is known as a regional research laboratory, and today we can take some credit here that Hyderabad, we can call it as a pharmaceutical hub. So many medicines and many chemicals are made here and they send to outside the country. I mean, like we also export to outside countries, and we can call Hyderabad as a pharma hub, pharma city. I think IICT at that time RRL played a major role in making Hyderabad as a pharma city. Of course, along with the IDPL and Usman University and Central University, and recently NIPERS also playing a role. So these are again contributions. I think people should talk about some of these things. And similarly, I can tell you we have RBN Prasad Garu on our stage. In India, many of us use this rice bran oil, right? So there's a technology, basically kind of purifying that one. There's a degumming technology developed by RBN sir group and also from IICT. And at least 60-70% of Indian industries who make this rice bran oil, they use IICT technology developed by Dr. RBN Prasad and team. So these are again contributions. Somebody has to tell people about these things. Again, I can talk about this COVID, during COVID time, how much we struggled. Like there were no medicines, particularly in the beginning, and no vaccines. And thanks to Bharat Biotech, they introduced our indigenous vaccine. That's a Covaxin. I'm sure you all, at least everybody must have taken Covaxin or Covishield. Only 2 options were available, Covishield or Covaxin. And IICT during that time helped Bharat Biotech, particularly making there's a TLR78 agonist molecule. That's basically, it is an organic molecule. We need few kilograms of that material, but basically each vaccine will contain micrograms of that material, that organic compound. Without that vaccine won't work. So that proud to say that our IICT worked hard, and during the tough times, they gave it to Bharat Biotech, and Bharat Biotech, you all know that have produced and now supplied to many countries. We feel proud today, right, about Covaxin, indigenous vaccine. So again, I can tell you just to connect with you better. So in this audience, whoever took Covaxin today, there is a small component of IICT and CSIR is there in your body. So that's how connect to people. So again, keep on talking about few things, and particularly this again, plastic. So we teachers, we also discourage usage of plastic, and we also know that one, it's not good for plastic. But can you imagine today without plastic? Make, and I request you all of you to like basically kind of take it to the society, take it to the people. We can think of many things we can talk about it, and futuristic again. What is coming from IICT? You can talk just to tell you one thing, and our IICT is known for, there is something called fluorochemicals, well known for, but only in India, only our lab has capability, government laboratory, I mean to say, so has been doing research in fluorochemicals. Fluoro means like we can understand about chemistry, there's a fluorine atom, F. So that fluorochemicals are very important, and we have been using different fluorocarbons, right, fluorocarbons. So these are all phasing out. So new generation, this because of this danger with our depletion of ozone layers. So there's a phasing out of those fluorochemicals, hydrofluorocarbons are coming. There is something called HFOs. There is hydrofluoroolefins. There's a new generation refrigerant. So then India, there's no option right now. So we are working on this one. We develop technology. Hopefully that is going to be the very futuristic, and we are happy to inform you that we are making good progress in that one. Hopefully in soon we are going to like basically one city languages, but people, if you interact, we can make stories which can reach, of course, without
from Hyderabad, from Warangal and nearby places. It's no problem studying in Telugu. Doing exceedingly well. Now, for example, basic science and and communication, if you talk about RT-PCR. The reason is that half knowledge of misinformation is very, very dangerous. I'll give one example. Several years ago, maybe I don't remember, maybe 15, 20 years ago, in Telangana region, one of the AIDS patient in a village, one of the AIDS patient was burnt alive. Was burnt alive in Telangana region, one of the AIDS patient. Why? Village people knew that AIDS is a very dangerous disease. This much communication has come to them. Science communication has reached them to tell that AIDS is extremely dangerous disease. Fact check. After checking the fact checking, it must be put back on the WhatsApp. All of you sitting here, 300 people sitting here, if all of you oppose WhatsApp statement, if somebody says in 7 days your fat is going to go out, then you check the fact and put it back on saying that this is nonsense. So if everybody keeps on telling it's nonsense, probably that will go. So I think this is one of the activity which you can take is when we see pseudoscience, let's oppose. At the same time, opposing pseudoscience is different. Sabamasturi rice variety, new variety called blight resistant variety. Okay, blight is a disease which affects the rice fields, and then 30 to 40% of the yield will be gone if you don't take care. of that. So the resistant variety was developed by CCMB. But who will use that variety? If you go and tell the village farmers that we have developed a variety, please use it, nobody cares. Nobody uses it because they are historically or traditionally whatever they are using, they will use that only. We try to give them, but no one plays a role. Fortunately, we found one person with a 2 acres land, only 2 acres land. He agreed to use this seed, only 2 acres. That year when he put these seeds, when he planted this one, unfortunately or fortunately, that year bacterial blight affected the entire place. Failed in communicating because sustainability issues are continuously growing. For example, we cannot raise the temperature of the globe more than certain degrees. So last several years ago, all the world people decided that this is our quota. We will not raise by so and so year. But we already crossed that. It means we did not do what we are supposed to be doing. So our communication of these goals are not communicated. Our planet Earth will not be usable for human beings' life if we continue to do this. So when will we learn this? When will we correct this? So climate change is very important. That has to be taken care of. And sustainability, so it means our communication systems have to still improve. Science alone, and just science alone, I don't care about anything, is not going to work. I tell this many times, and many science communication district feels that I will go by science, and any of your beliefs, religion, or things, I don't care, this is not correct. That's not the way it works. For example, Dolly sheep was cloned. When Dolly sheep was cloned, everybody in the world were very happy and all. Technically, scientifically, Dolly can be cloned. You can also be cloned. Human being also can be cloned. But human cloning is no. Nobody in the world wants no human cloning. But Dolly sheep cloning is okay. Why? These are value systems. Now value systems will come into picture. We cannot avoid. So human values are to be considered, and that is very important that we give equal value to the belief systems, opinions, traditional values, and then communicate science so that they'll be benefited. Slowly things will change. But if you start using a binary approach, it is less likely that we will be able to do any change. Now, for example, people have a thorough confusion about artificial intelligence, what AI can do, what AI cannot do. Today, everything is AI. I see that even when you come on the road, you can see that medical doctors putting up boards in the artificial intelligence assisted surgery. Now I have to see some artificial intelligence assisted barber shop. So this artificial intelligence is becoming so much, but people seem to be misunderstanding artificial intelligence. What artificial intelligence can do, I think we should communicate, and some people also have scare about the word. This also should be taken care of. Quantum computation. Quantum computation has become a big word everywhere. People seem to think that quantum computation is the fastest computation available. It will be supercomputer is nothing at all compared to this, and quantum computer will be fantastic. That's not true at all. Quantum computation can do few jobs much faster than supercomputers, but it cannot do many jobs faster. For example, if you want to use word processing, make a PowerPoint, make a movie, quantum computer will be slower. It will not do anything. Quantum computer will be doing some solutions which are not really possible for the normal thing. These ideas about quantum computation, all this has to be percolated to very younger generation, because old people will be resistant to change, resistant to thinking. But a younger generation, below 25 to 35 years speed, will be very vibrant, and they will be willing to change, willing to do anything like that. And we should, India has such a big population, so we should be able to use them by giving information to them correctly. So science population is very, very important. And one more small aspect I just say that in close is that publishing something in the science journals or newspapers alone is not going to be useful. That is one directional information flow. You are preaching. Continuous preaching is not going to work. So it has to be two-way communication. As Soumya was mentioning, that listen to the society. Okay, how do we listen to society? That has to be developed. And as Inadu editor was mentioning, if a science desk or something like that, there is a question answer session or participatory questions. That if that increases, I'm sure something more can be done. Such also science lectures can be organized, town halls can be organized. In towns, we can have a public lectures. We have to improve science communication in our country significantly. We can do that. Is example that RT-PCR everybody in India knows now. Now, mobile phone knowledge everybody knows. So it means it is not impossible. We can do that. Only we should have a determination to do that. And I'm sure such meetings will help us rededicate ourselves, and we'll try and see
Shri M. Nageshwarrao garu. Sir, please come forward, sir. So please, sir.
We are the host.
Dr. Arvind Prasad garu. So please come forward, sir. Prasad garu. అయిపోయింది. ఓకే. డాక్టర్ డి శ్రీనివాస్ రెడ్డి గారు. సో నెక్స్ట్ Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now I request Sri K. Suresh Garu, Chief Sub-Editor, Inadu, to propose vote of thanks.
esteemed dignitaries, distinguished guests, respected colleagues, and dear participants. It is both an honor and a privilege to propose the vote of thanks at the conclusion of this inauguration of the National Conclave on Science and Science Communication. Today's gathering has truly been a celebration of ideas, insights, and inspiration, reflecting our shared commitment and Dr. D. Srinivas Reddy Garu, Director, CSR, IICT. Your presence and perspectives have added immense value to this conclave. A special word of gratitude to our patron, Sri C.H. Kiran, Chairman and Managing Director, Enadu Group, for his generous support and encouragement for this event. His commitment to public-centered communication and nation-building has been instrumental in shaping this event. ASTC gratefully acknowledges Enadu for collaborating in hosting this conclave and for kindly arranging refreshments and lunch. Our special thanks to Professor D. Balasubramanian, Dr. Siddhartha, Shri Pallav Bagla, Dr. Tangaraj, and Dr. Venkat Mohan for graciously accepting ASTC felicitations. We thank Dr. D. Raghunath Rao, Dr. D. Leela, and Dr. Kalachand Sain for authoring the highly informative ASTC communication booklets on cancer and gas hydrates. We extend our sincere appreciation to the esteemed chairpersons, speakers, and panelists to all of all sessions. We sincerely thank Director Dr. Mrutyunjay Reddy, Secretary Dr. Shyam Kothari, Administrative Officer, and the technical staff of Birla Science Center for permitting to hold this beautiful auditorium and associated facilities. Our grateful thanks to Dr. R.B.N. Prasad Garu, Honorary President of ASTC, whose leadership has been instrumental in organizing this event. Our sincere thanks to CSR IICT, ARCI, NRCSE, Marico Industries Limited, Gemini Edibles and Fats Limited, Aditya Scientific, Smart Lab Tech Private Limited, Vinayaka Oils and Fats Limited, Educational Enterprises, Lavin Laboratories, and Mayur Crystal Lights for their valuable support to this conclave. We thank print and digital media for covering the event. We gratefully acknowledge the SAC of ASTC, honorary fellows and fellows of ASTC, senior faculty from universities, scientists, and national laboratories and industries, registered delegates, researchers, science teachers, communicators, students, and enthusiasts. Your enthusiastic participation has given this conclave its true purpose and energy. Our special thanks to Mrs. Swapna Priya for wonderfully conducting today's inaugural function. Finally, we thank everyone who contributed directly or indirectly in ways big and small to the success of this event. As we conclude, let us carry forward the spirit of collaboration and clarity and that defined today's deliberations. May we continue to communicate science with integrity, empathy, and deep sense of national responsibility. Thank you all once again. We look forward to meeting you in future editions of this national endeavor. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. May I request everyone to kindly rise for the national anthem, Jana Gana Mana.
जय 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 हे।
Thank you. Thank you all for your gracious presence. Please join us for coffee break arranged adjacent area to the auditorium. After coffee break, I request everyone to reassemble after 15 minutes for the session 1. Thank you.
See, already we got delayed. I think we will reassemble within 10 minutes in the hall for the first technical session. Thank you.